It's been about 1 year since we purchased the LA Jewish Home and took it from a dying newspaper on its last legs into a thriving, scaling business in the heart of the LA Jewish community. In this video, I'm going to take you through exactly what I learned, what I did, where we are, and where we're going next. Buying any business comes with a lot of challenges and a lot of uncomfortability, especially when entering a space that a lot of people wildly consider it to be dead. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why I bought a newspaper in 2024 and take you through my learnings and the things I discovered and the entire journey as best of my ability. Because today, September the 4th, really marks a 1 year anniversary on a technical sense because we put our first issue out on September the 12th, 2024. And today is really the technical anniversary because we go by the first issue of the month. And today was the day that we put out the first issue in September, marking that milestone. And I'm very excited to tell you about everything that I have planned. And I put a lot of time into preparing this for you guys to be able to really derive as much value as possible from everything that I've learned and seen firsthand running and cultivating this business. In July of 2024, we acquired the LA Jewish Home, the only print newspaper at the time catering to the Los Angeles Jewish community. And this is how we transformed it into the voice of Jewish Los Angeles, with no background in journalism, no degree, no playbook, only conviction, because I'm not educated in this field at all, and nobody on my team is. So, we're really just here to take a business like any other business and squeeze as much value out of it as possible, implement our systems, and make it as best as we can. And reflecting on 2024 to 2025 so far, this is really the year that we did that. And, we transformed this paper from its last dying breath into a thriving enterprise in the making with a bright future, rapidly scaling, and so many new verticals already in store. To dive right into why. There were four main opportunities that really helped shape the decision to say yes. The first one, this is the only English voice for LA's Orthodox Jewish community. In Los Angeles, there was at the time one other free publication that was more of a magazine than a newspaper that is now no longer free. The entire market is really ours right now because we are the only free publication that you can pick up in a local in the local butcher shop, supermarket, synagogue. The second opportunity was the fact that there were many past iterations to learn from and build on. I spoke to many people, as I'll tell you soon, about what they did wrong, what they did right, and how they would start again when running a print publication. The third reason was the fact that there were really clear ways to scale through systemization and automation and delegation. And these are playbooks that we've used in other companies that we've been involved in. And last but not least, this was really a powerful gateway for many reasons for us at Fader Group to branch into a new industry, the media industry. And all these combined, weighing in some other factors as well, we decided to pull the trigger and we purchased the LA Jewish Home in July of 2024. Now, getting into that first reason, the only Jewish local paper in the community. Every Jewish community has its paper. Some of them have multiple. In Los Angeles, the LA Jewish Home is that Shabbat staple. And the key word here is Shabbat, because in an age where digital is really taking over, already has taken over for the most part, print is widely considered as a dying medium. But in the Jewish community, in the Orthodox Jewish community that is, we have something called Shabbat, which really requires us to shut off all electronics and focus solely on primitive means for entertainment. So a lot of board games, a lot of books, a lot of magazines and newspapers. And in Los Angeles, the LA Jewish Home is the only one really catering to that demographic. The other competition that I was speaking about, they didn't really focus too much on the Orthodox Jewish community. The LA Jewish Home is specifically an Orthodox Jewish newspaper adhering to those values. Now, others have tried and none have endured because when I bought the paper, there really weren't any other contenders. And I've had the privilege of speaking with many who once ran similar publications, giving me the chance to learn from their mistakes and pivot wisely. And their endings really did become the blueprint for our beginning. And that's very true because there are so many things that I learned in the first days and the first weeks speaking to many people who have been in this position before. Plugging in experience and Fader Group infrastructure. I took the lessons learned from those who tried before me and connected them with my own business experience and the infrastructure that we have in Fader Group. So using established systems, a strong operational backbone, and a culture built on adaptability, we were able to take an industry that many had written off and make it scalable. And this combination of past insight, personal drive, and organizational strength really allowed us to do what others couldn't before. Now, the media space, being the most attractive part from a business perspective for Fader Group to get into, is a new frontier. And we're constantly looking to expand both horizontally and vertically, always seeking opportunities that amplify value and our portfolio as a whole. So entering the media space really opened a powerful new channel for us, not only strengthening our own platforms, but also delivering greater impact for our clients and our brands. The business before the turnaround really was something that attracted me personally the most. Families loved the LA Jewish home for many, many years, and it has become a bi-weekly staple for kids and parents alike. The previous owners, who I actually retained on as partners in a very, very minority stake, because they revived the paper. They bought the paper, the rights to the paper, I should say, from somebody who was running it for quite some time and unfortunately was not able to sustain it. And they bought it for the same reason that, every Jewish community has a paper. There's value there. And one of the things that really ties us together as a community in a demographic is having a local paper, a local news source to be able to share and interact with. So the fact that Los Angeles didn't have that really attracted them to revive it and bring it up, and they did some really great groundwork on bringing it back. However, it's really become more of a staple for the children in the family and more of a take home and toss away. And behind the scenes, the paper ran on WhatsApp group chats and Google spreadsheets, which made it extremely strenuous to bring it to print every single issue. And that was really the most attractive part. Being able to plug in all the systems that I spoke about previously was just like the first no-brainer, and making things run more efficiently and more smoothly is one of the biggest accomplishments that we've been able to do so far. But in addition to that, I was also damaged because the previous owners had put out a memo in their final issue that they put to print asking for potential buyers to step forward, though that's not how I discovered it. And by then, the reputation of the paper had already been teetering, making ad sales, which is really how the paper runs, being a free publication, a very uphill battle. Its final issues under the old structure had grown bland and stripped of the energy and relevance that once made it matter. In addition to the fact that there were many advertisers who were committed to long-term placements, some of them prepaid, some of them just on verbal or contractual commitments, that now did not really have clarity on who to go to either get their money back or continue their placements. And looking for that clarity did damage the business, especially when you're talking about your bedrock of advertisers that are there to keep the revenue and the cash churning. The vision beyond all that was that within the publishing world, in the Jewish world, taboos silence a lot of real conversations. And we aimed and continue to aim to break that mold, bringing to print the discussions that already are alive in our community. And the visual that we had for that was when you sit down at a holiday meal or a Shabbat meal, and you have all your cousins around the table and maybe some guests that you don't necessarily know or see all the time, and the conversations come up and everybody's already gotten to know each other, and you're talking about how school tuition is off the rocker, or this charity scandal, or why is it that this rabbi who is always going around touting, his wares, looking for fundraising for this and for that, lives in a $6 million mansion in a very, very affluent area in the community. Those are the kind of conversations that we really wanted to approach, not in a radical way, as I said here. We wanted to bridge the gap between radical and practical, because those are the real conversations that people were having. That there is no real voice in the Jewish world that talks about them in a sensible way. And around this, paragraph here, I have some of the early inspirations. Aesthetically, The New Yorker has really been a great source to pull inspiration from when it came to, laying out and kind of how to aesthetically put things. Ramparts magazine was a radical left-wing magazine that was published in the 60s and 70s and went kaput in after 5 to 6 years of publication. And they really, really helped me understand. When I say they, I mean reading those books and the autobiographies and the case studies on that magazine and on their editors and their publishers really helped me understand what it is to run a fast-paced publication, really trying to make noise. And lastly, this is actually a new publication that came out after we bought the LA Jewish Home, but Masudar on the top right has been a real source of inspiration because they are not doing what we're doing, but they are kind of they're bridging the gap between, I would say, the Jewish world and Vogue magazine, and doing it in such a tasteful and classy way that I had to include them on here because I really pull a lot of inspiration from them recently. Now, a true community paper. This means that we can call it our own. And Los Angeles is home to one of the most intricate Jewish communities in the world. You have ultra-Orthodox living next to modern Orthodox, living next to Reform, Sephardi next to Ashkenazi, and then within that, all those different types. Like, there's no community segregation. Everybody lives next to each other. And that really makes us intricate and diverse. And our early commitment was clear. We're going to stay local, we're going to stay rooted, and we're going to build a paper that this city will be proud of. And that's really, thank God, what we've been able to accomplish a lot. And on the note that I say a lot, this is literally the same outfit that I'm wearing today. And this is a photo that we had taken outside of Glotmart, one of the staple community supermarkets in Pico. So a couple kids that were selling some lulavim and a sorghum for Sukkot, which is actually coming up now. This is one of the first issues. Did a story on that, on this street hustle, and this is just a great shot of Los Angeles because we love LA. Taking ownership, the first crucial steps that made the handoff seamless. In the early days, laying the groundwork looked like the following. I contacted everyone involved and secured warm introductions where I needed. So that meant my content contributors, my printer, my layout, the graphic team, all of the people that were either still on the payroll, not on the payroll anymore, everybody who ever had anything to do with the paper reached out and said hello. And tried to get an understanding, asking questions, reaching out to the old crew for feedback, reaching out to some of the current, part-time for feedback, and really, really wanted to get an understanding of what is it that made this paper until now. I launched a focused email blast to some core audiences. Some of them included above, some of them just, different people that I thought would be beneficial to get through to and speak to. And as a new owner, I carried no ego, only a fresh eye to learn quickly from the past mistakes and try to build from them. Now, software implementation was what I spent a lot of the first couple of weeks and even months on. And I still constantly tweak this. This is one of my favorite things to do in all of our businesses. Notion, Dropbox, Loom, email blast, website analytics. These are all things that we're missing. And like I said before, we were on WhatsApp group chats and Google spreadsheets. So this really helped make things efficient very quickly. And we were able to jump like in the double-digit percentile on efficiency, just saving time and getting things done quicker. So, this really helped us formulate teams and just make things cohesive. And the goal was always very simple. Just skip the noise and find the right tools and move fast. And I spoke with a lot of the previous owners of other publications to try to find out what newspaper-specific tools I can rely on. And those really did come in very, very handy. Starting the first issue cycle. So creating this list that you see on the right, which goes on for much longer, was very, very time-consuming. And it took a lot of effort, but breaking it down simply like this was very vital. As you can see, there's a lot of information here on who to contact for certain things, what they're responsible for, what you need to do step by step. And this issue cycle just keeps going down for every single day of the issue and what exactly we need to do. And the LA Jewish Home runs on a bi-weekly cadence. So each cycle is defined by 2 focused weeks. And those 2 weeks, technically 14 days, are really made up of 12-day cycles. And without this guide, the team would really have no clear way to align on how things actually work, and we'd be lacking guidance. So this was very crucial to get done, and very proud early accomplishment to finally understand that I understand, and now the team can understand exactly what gets done. So the first issue, jumping into it and going through all those implementations and creating these tools, implementing them, getting signed up, um, getting to the first issue, which this is the front cover of it. The first issue triggered a real significant backlash across multiple fronts. The editorial stance headlined "The gloves are off." It signaled a really sharp break from the community's expectation of what a Jewish paper should publish, and also from what the Jewish home used to be. And many expressed skepticism towards new ownership, labeling me as like the new kid on the block and questioning whether the publication could be trusted under my leadership. And there were also a lot of personal criticisms I received. People were accusing me of being angry and confrontational and just looking to stir the pot. In Judaism, there's a concept called lashon hara, which is literally translated to a bad tongue. And they thought that I was literally just trying to slander people. I was just trying to slander people and get a reaction and get a rise and just take the community for a ride pretty much and provoke controversy. In truth, the resistance stemmed less from the words themselves and more from the shifts we were making. I made it very clear that we were going to be challenging taboos and changing the tone and redefining the role of a community paper. So naturally, that shook a lot of people that were scared of what the repercussions of that might be. Where my head was at during this time, I was studying the paper's economics for the first time, learning the mechanics of ad revenue and what systems were needed to keep cash flow consistent and payments reliable. My wife Bailey and I spent over 15 hours driving across the city, hand delivering every copy of the paper to more than 300 locations. So this, to paint a picture, being extremely physically overworked, those first 48 hours were really, really high stress moments. And then finally being able to sit down and look at some of the revenue coming in and start doing calculations. I was very eager and stressed. I was very stressed by that, plus the backlash that I started receiving on day one. And in addition to this pulling fire that I had, I was super eager to understand the full production process. I wanted to get every step of it right and make sure that the next time I was getting it even better. But the next issue was already 2 weeks away. And by the time those few days passed and Shabbat came and went, and I was already Monday, Tuesday of the next week, and starting to deal with the fires, I was already having to focus on what was going to be in the next issue. I had to sit down with my partners who are not involved with the day-to-day operations at all, but brought the paper back to life for the community, and definitely had a good grasp on what the community says and what they feel. So having to sit down with them and really get an understanding of what the concerns were, address them, and I ended off by saying you'll see, because I knew that the only way to create noise was to create noise, and coming out right away with exactly what we were trying to do and just calling a spade really did end up being the right method. And thank God I was proven right, because there was definitely a lot to deal with in those first couple of days after publishing, but I had to jump right back into that next cycle. So this research obsession that I've cultivated in this business and that I carry with me through all the businesses that I've been involved in. From the very first issue, I poured hundreds of hours into research for the stories that we would publish. I spoke with countless people to align content with our vision. Even with everything else in my life, I found myself drawn deeper and deeper into this business, knowing that this level of commitment was essential for success, because I am by nature a very, very perfectionist type of person. And in order to put out things that I would be proud of, I needed to be involved and get a real understanding. And that plays into why I got into the car with my wife, Bailey, and hand delivered all of the papers to those locations. I didn't need to, but I wanted to understand what it entails to be doing this. I wanted to see every location with my own eyes and understand, are they getting too much? Are they even seeing it? Are they, do they have old issues from 2.5 months ago that nobody threw out because nobody reads them or nobody cares? Really, to get that understanding and maximize every aspect has become the obsession that I use in this business, not just in the analytical side of things, not just in the production side of things, but most importantly, in the research side of things, when it comes to the articles and the content that we put out. And this brings me to the point where I really want to start talking about a lot of the lessons that I've learned in this business and running it, because I made a lot of mistakes and I was really, really naive in certain areas and a little overprotective in others. And it all comes down to this line that I love by Albert Einstein, which is, a person who never made mistakes never tried anything new. And the way you have to think about it is that challenges equals lessons anytime you're faced with something. And this graphic over here is really one of my favorite things that I found recently, and I knew I had to clip it when I started deciding how I was going to make this presentation. It goes, may I ask you something? If you were only 30 mistakes away from your goal, how fast would you want to fail? Think about it. That's absolutely key as far as mindset to cultivating yourself to be a founder or owner or operator of anything. You're going to fail because you're a human. And the sooner you come to terms with it and understand that failure is part of success, the faster you're going to reach that success and achieve the goals that you set for yourself. So lesson number 1, team building. I learned pretty early on that hiring ineffectively is costly. Delegation only works if you have the right people. Ask a chicken to run like a lion and you can't blame the lion. And great talent comes at a higher cost. Hiring that lion comes at a much higher cost. Steak and meat costs much more than chicken feed, but it does pay for itself. Scale up, don't settle, and search for the passion that matches your own. Once you find it, cultivate it. This means that if you are going to settle for something that comes along cheaper, like a chicken, don't expect it to give you the results of a lion. But when you find a cub that isn't yet a full-grown lion running at full speed, recognizing that passion needs to be coupled with the time and energy that it takes to cultivate that passion and match it to your own. Because you are not going to be able to scale to 10 employees, 20 employees, 50 employees. And I'm a little out of my depth here because I've never really been at that level. But I know for certain that you won't be able to scale to that level if you're not able to delegate. I know that because I know what it's like to scale to a level of 5 employees and even almost going on 10 employees. But if you are not able to delegate, then you can never keep rising. And you need to understand that the way that you build your team is going to directly affect all of the calls and all of the actions and all of the little fixes that you need to do. Because if you're hiring the wrong people and putting trust into the wrong people, at the end of the day, you can only blame yourself if you're setting the wrong expectations on people that don't have the right skill set. Lesson number 2, don't lower your prices. Never drop your prices to win more business. Deals aren't won that way. The key is knowing your value and refusing to settle for less. In our case, we're the only free publication in the community. Our reach is unmatched and advertisers have no alternative. This makes it much easier for us to stick to our guns. But there have been many times where I've lowered prices. There have been many times where I tried to put my foot down by starting off with a lower price or a buy one get one free, and just in a nutshell, undervaluing the value that we have, and it never worked out in my favor. And this is a very important thing to understand, because what you're doing by lowering your prices is undervaluing yourself and skewing the projections that you make. We're priced according to projections, how much we need for each page that we're selling, the different sizes, etc. And those projections being skewed is problem number 1. And problem number 2 is that when you do come across the people who are willing to pay full price, if you're in this flow of constantly undervaluing and lowering the price, you're not going to be able to recognize that. And you're really going to be missing the opportunity. If it's going to take you 100 calls to get 10 people that will pay you full price, it's worth it. Like that first thing, that graphic, if you're 30 mistakes away from success, how fast would you be trying to fail? How many more calls would you be making if you knew that you were worth what you were worth, but you would be able to find the people that are willing to pay for that? Lesson number 3, your reputation is everything. Protect it at all costs. And this is from the 48 Laws of Power, for those of you who have read. I've been mistreated more times than I can count in business. And each time it's a very tough pill to swallow, especially when walking away requires swallowing pride and being the bigger person. And when I say being mistreated, I'm talking about money being stolen, the wrong goods being sent, clients lying, clients being stolen, people breaching contract. There's nothing that you can do. It's the cost of doing business. It's the cost of putting yourself out there and trying to make a living. And in publishing, the stakes with this are even higher to certain extents because people often ask for favors today banking on promises of tomorrow. And that can mean underpaying here to be able to pay more later. Hey, do me a favor. This article that I hear that you're publishing, that I hear that you're working on, directly correlates with my business. Can you help me, please? Can you tweak this and that? I'm going to be able to get some advertising your way, whatever it is. There are many, many people that I've encountered in the community in this business that have really, really acted in a way that has shocked me. But the reputation is the fact that you need to understand who you are. And you need to understand that, defamation and chasing the justice, if you will, is only going to cause yourself harm. And in my case, sometimes I really have given the benefit of the doubt to a lot of people, especially being somebody who's new to the community. But those promises that I trusted people giving me rarely carried the weight that they should have. And like I was saying, with deadlines, the paper goes to print on people's word. And too often those words don't hold. And I've gained a lot of sharp insight into how some prominent figures truly operate when their reality doesn't match the image that they project. It's up to me to remember that everything comes from God. And no matter how angry I might be, there's nothing that's going to be gained by going after the defamation route. And let me tell you, when you run a paper that distributes to over 300 locations and has the ear of 2,000 homes directly, or close to 2,000 homes directly, to be accurate, sometimes it's very tempting to be able to go in and paint a very beautiful picture to make yourself look good while making somebody else exposed for something that they've done. But that's not the reputation that I want, and that is the lesson that I put here, because there are many ways to be going out there and defaming people and so on, or trying to exact revenge or trying to get payback for certain things. Everything is from God, and everything happens for a reason. And carrying that really helps you have a balanced toolkit and thick skin for some of the things that are inevitable in the world of business. Lesson number 4, learn how to take criticism. The hardest conversations were the ones where I had to stay quiet and truly listen. When you pour your everything into something, criticism can feel like a blow. But keeping composure in those moments is essential, because learning to absorb and not just react is the only way to grow and succeed. And there have been many times where people have caught me off guard, extremely stressed after a long cycle or after a long day, and I really put my heart into something, and nobody knows all the calls and all the connections and all the things that we had to do in order to make it happen, and it's calling me up to just tell me, hey, I don't like it. It takes a second, got to take a deep breath, or it takes a second to take that deep breath and get an understanding of what this person is actually trying to tell you, and absorbing it, and not just taking it personally and reacting to what they're saying based on your feelings. And lesson number 5 is the most important one. Be consistent. Don't stop showing up. Don't ever stop showing up. Whatever you're doing, this is the key to success. Everything that I've been speaking about till now is nothing without consistency. Now, our position today in this paper, your future is as bright as your faith, and I have a lot of faith in where we're going. We are currently the only free publication for the community. The LA Jewish Home is the only free Jewish paper serving the LA Jewish community, Southern California, minor distribution in Phoenix, San Francisco, expanding to San Diego. We're going to hit Seattle soon, and our readership continues to expand. We're now reaching, it's really closer to 50,000 readers every single issue. And our lean systems and infrastructure that we implemented really position us to scale even farther. Our advertiser base is strong and rapidly growing, drawn to the fact that our audience is not just large, but deeply engaged. And readers look forward to every single issue because of the hard work that we do cultivating the best content possible. And that makes advertisers, which really are the only source of revenue for the newspaper, part of a trusted and eagerly consumed experience. And In addition to that, we have the LA Jewish Home online. And we've thankfully successfully launched the first ever online space for Jewish Los Angeles, and it's growing very fast. More than a website, it's a digital town square where stories, conversations, and opportunities come together. Engagement is very strong. I mean, submissions, requests, and just help that we've been able to provide to people in the community with this space is really, really validating. And the momentum accelerates every single day. And this platform is slowly but surely, rather quickly, becoming the hub for our community. And it's crazy to think that we launched in May, and it being September already, just having doubled our viewers and doubled our engagement on the website month over month over month has really just been an accomplishment that I personally am very proud of. Now, in addition to just the newspaper, we really have expanded Fader Group's media space into something a bit larger, because with the newspaper being what it is, we open up right next to it Hashpa'a, which is our creative agency and content studio, delivering bold campaigns that connect brands with the Jewish market. So when advertisers funnel through the LA Jewish Home, we can now have much broader conversations about their marketing and branding needs with real value that we're able to provide, whether that be the graphics and ads that we actually insert into the paper, digital content that we create, billboards, branding campaigns, packaging, you name it. We really have the infrastructure to do everything, pulling on some of the other things that we have from within Fader Group, as well as a lot of the things that we've been able to build as we've been slowly and steadily branching into the media space. And most excitedly has been our curated group of voices offering brands authentic reach and community-driven impact. That's really our TikTok pages, our Instagram pages, this YouTube channel, and a lot more very, very fun stuff that we have planned to be rolling out in the media space. The future for the LA Jewish Home is bright. Expanding the digital presence, forging bigger collaborations, delivering disruptive, impactful reporting, and having that overarching goal to become the most relevant Jewish news source on the West Coast, and God willing beyond, is really what's fueling all of this. There's so much that we've been able to accomplish and so much that we've been able to cultivate and grow. And being in a position right now to look back at a year and put together just a short list of lessons and things that we've learned and things that we've implemented is really something that I'm very grateful for the ability to do. There were many moments where I had no idea how we were going to pay the bills for the paper. And there were many moments where, it was dark. It's a very tough business. Things are not always predicted realistically or accurately. There are many moving parts. And thank God, we really have been able to persevere and get it to a point where we are now looking at this future, at what we have. My biggest takeaway from this entire past year, running this business and really getting nitty and gritty in it, as you've seen in many different categories, is that no matter what you're facing in this life, God has a plan for you. And the biggest blessing that you can receive is that your vessel of income that you wake up every day to try to fill up will be filled up by God in a revealed way. There's so much at play when it comes to running a business. And one of the biggest things I've learned, because the newspaper business is so multifaceted and you're working with so many different people, and there's this saying, you can't make everybody happy. Being in that environment day in and day out for weeks and weeks and months, now a year on end, has really given me a level of tough skin that I did not have walking into this business. And that for me is the biggest takeaway and the biggest blessing for being able to take that now and go into other things. Patience, tough skin, dealing with people, and knowing that no matter what, you're never going to be able to get to a place that you make everybody happy is a lesson that I will now forever carry with me for the rest of my life because of the experience that I have running this paper. I really hope that you thoroughly enjoyed what I put together and were able to derive even 1% value from it. I really believe that these lessons that I've outlined here in the lens of my story can really be applied to any business that you want to get into. And I really hope to see you on that successful side. and your blessings should be revealed. And whatever it is that you're working on, we should, and whatever it is that you're working on, you should see it 10x and 10x and 10x and just pop off in ways that you can never imagine. Wishing you guys a killer week, and thank you for watching.